All right, I think we are live. It's saying we are live. Yes.
Yay!
Yay. You can hear Lisa and Lynn there. I'm going to share these
Yay.
wonderful ladies with you real quick. In fact, we'll just go, hello, Lisa and Lynn.
Hello. Hi, guys.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lisa and Lynn and about what you're about to experience, because this is our first podcast officially with WOWUNOW Live. Woo! The crowd goes wild.
Woo!
So to just welcome you, in fact, we're playing with the name. You guys can even help us decide on this. Now, WOWUNOW Live, Wow Makers Unplugged. All right. So that's what we're looking at. And because, listen, you want to buckle up. We're going to call you a world changer. Actually, at WOWUNOW, we call you Wow Makers. And WOWUNOW is not just another social platform. WOWUNOW is the social network to better your world all in one place. We have like a Netflix style, real style network segmented in the areas of interest with the trusted, vetted resources at your fingertips, shame-free, politics-free social media ecosystem, all in one content delivery engine. So it's literally right there at your fingertips, integrated within a positive, action-minded social community. And we have creator economy business model where everyone benefits. So you can learn more about WOWUNOW. We'll share about you. We're here to drive some incredible transformation your way in this next hour and with what our podcast stands for. So we'll tell you a little bit about the podcast. So at WOWUNOW, we're here to change the game of how we do social, how we do business, and how we better our lives so we create a better world. And Wow Makers Unplugged is not just another podcast. It's a movement. And on this podcast, we're diving in head first into the world of the most influential wow makers of our time. Raw and real. You get to experience the gritty, heart-soaring tales of both industry rock stars like what we have here with us, Lynn and Lisa today, and grassroots game changers. We cover the 6 foundations of life, whether that's mind, body, spirit, life, business, or world. And we're serving up episodes that resonate with every aspect of your being. And we've got some guest power. So you want to expect the unexpected with insights from leading, trusted, vetted experts, our featured founding partners, like we're going to be hearing from today, movers and shakers, and soon some legends you love. And we're hoping for Gary V, Brene Brown, Jay Shetty, all of which we're connected to. So stay tuned, because why not learn from the best? And we're going beyond the ordinary. More than stories or insights, it's about the drive, the passion, and the purpose that fuels true change. And we're pure empowerment. You won't just listen. You'll feel the urge to leap into action. And we're going to give you actionable things to do and be the wow maker you're meant to be. So dive into Wow Makers Unplugged in this next hour, where you'll not only be part of the conversation, but part of the solution. So let's do this. So this is our So this is our very first official episode as we shine a light on 2 legends of transformation that have helped shape leaders of industry the past couple decades and they've been making visceral, lifelong change that brings you a life you love to those that they work with. All right. So today, our arena of focus is mindset. Wow your mind. And that impacts every other area of your life, including your own joy, motivation, aliveness, and sense of all that's possible for you. So you're going to have huge ahas out of today and ways to take this further for free on our platform WOWUNOW. And if you want to immerse and resonate deeply, which you will, with these 2 amazing leaders, there's ways to work with them directly that, as they've done for thousands across time, will absolutely change your life and get you on fire for what you can do and be, and from a grounded, holistic, authentic place. So today we'll be focusing especially on women in business, but what you'll hear today applies across the board, whether you're a woman or a man, a professional in the workplace or entrepreneur, or even a stay-at-home mom looking for living out of all of who you're here to be. You are a choice. So let's introduce these 2 brilliant, badass women. So first of all, we have Lynn Sheridan. She has trained, right there you see Lynn. She has trained over 68,000 people around the world through her work as a transformational trainer over the past 30 years. And she has degrees and trainings in all sorts of arenas, including a master's degree in counseling psychology and is a licensed marriage and family therapist, along with having led at the highest level some of the greatest transformational work we know out there. Um, so, Lynn, thank you for joining us. More to share. You're like a best-selling author. There's all sorts of things to share about you. Most of all, what we get to hear you share that's going to be so valuable for everyone.
So grateful, and so grateful for you in creating this beautiful platform and positivity that we can actually move people forward through this.
Yes, thank you. All right, and you can see next to Lynn, Lisa Kalmin. And Lisa is the co-founder with and business partner with her BFF, Lynn Sheridan, of Inspire Coaching and Inspire Business Success. That's what they're bringing their two forces together for that, which we'll talk about today. And Lisa, after having left her investment job, has now for the last 37 years dedicated herself to training and coaching people to shift their perspective, their mindset, and their life. Lisa has coached and trained over 30,000 people in the principles and techniques to transform their lives by realizing that the problem is in how we see the problem. And her students have created wealth, healed their bodies, found true love, and most of all, experienced true joy and freedom. So Lisa gets to pull back the veil on how to live an inspired and successful life, along with Lynn Sheridan. And they both believe that you're always one conversation away from a breakthrough.
That's right.
All right.
And
Yeah.
thank you, Lynn. Thank you for, I just want to say thank you for having us, and thank you for the journey you've been on. And for those of you who don't know, it's been a long, committed, winding road for Lynn Rose, as she has opened up this possibility of an environment, a platform for us all to grow and be in community together. And it's wanted and needed in our world so much. So I just want to thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, I'm so excited. And I couldn't think of, bringing for our first now official Wow You Now podcast and all that we'll be doing as we expand on this. Because, for those who don't know, we are launching to over 200 million in reach. It's going to be across time because we also have a phase 2 coming of the latest, greatest technology. But we are just now starting to roll out. We have all sorts of things planned. We have alliances like you cannot believe that have just been coming in, and others that we now get to put into play. But we get to kick off together. So as you're watching, you want to get yourself onto the platform if you aren't already. And if you aren't already, you can download it on the app stores. It's in either iPhone or Android, or you can go to lifeonwow.com. And at that page is where you can register and then get inside, recognizing you'll have first access as a beta user and be there from the beginning as we now roll this out together. So you can be part of shaping this platform, part of driving. And these two lovely women, we have known each other for a long time in that world of transformation. So I thought, and now also one of the first founding featured partners on our platform. So we need to kick this off together. So I'm just going to say a little bit about coming ahead. All right. In this hour, I've been saying a little bit of context, just a little bit more, and then I want to just dive into what we're going to talk about here. So, as you see, Lynn and Lisa, they're trailblazers in the transformation space. Their expertise has empowered the lives of thousands of leaders, as you've heard, and you're going to experience that today. And they literally cover the gamut of business mindset, healing trauma, creating abundance, and the know-how and skills for achieving your vision. And their specialty is women leaders, which is what we're going to focus on. But bear in mind, whether you consider yourself a woman leader or not, or maybe you're a man, these principles can also apply to you. And there's over their decades of high-level coaching, they've pinpointed the 3 core pillars that help women leaders become badass in all areas of their lives and business, embracing your feminine energy, accomplishing through ease and grace, finding your authentic voice and powerfully expressing yourself, while also touting the power of being in a supportive community that knows and sees your value. Which is also why I'm so thrilled that we're here on Why You Now, which is about how we come together as community to lift each other up and lift the world. So, as founding partners of WOWUNOW, they provide a treasure trove of key distinctions and ahas that uplevel every area once you embody what they'll be revealing. Okay, so make sure you are on WOWUNOW because there's other actions you can start taking right away and you can even watch the live via WOWUNOW. Maybe you are right now as we speak. Okay, and I already shared where to go for that and let you know that we are in quiet beta. Now, during this show, uh, post on WOWUNOW what aha or insight you're loving that you're getting out of Lisa and Lynn. All right. Also, share out. You'll see at the top of the community feed or at the top of the resources feed this post, this live. You can share that out and it'll be tagged to you. Whoever you bring in will be tagged to you. And now, as you're igniting others to help them come and use this as a global change engine, as you show up, you're driving folks in, they'll be tagged to you, and now you'll generate a percentage of whatever may be generated on the platform through the people you bring in. So we truly are sharing in the abundance together. We are about how we have each other's back. So lots of context here, but now we can dive into the juice, into the goodies. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much, Lynn and Lisa, for making this time. Busy women, busy changing the world day in and day out. So maybe I'll open up whichever one of you want to speak first. I know we know each other through Association of Transformational Leaders. That's how we first met, formed a beautiful bond and friendship. And then I got to experience their work as well through, there's a transformational program out there that's well known that they've been leading for years. And myself being a transformational leader, being in this world for decades as well, we've seen the gamut, and maybe you have as you're listening, you as well. These ladies, like no other, know how to slice right through the noise, get right to the essence of what's going on or how to shift. And they do so with such seeing the brilliance of who you are under the surface, being able to bring that forward and seeing the possibility of who you are, not the limitations. So I just want to also set that about y'all. So in knowing each other, if you want to share a little bit more about your story and about your why, and then we can dive into some of these core pillars and the work.
Great. Well, as you were talking, Lynn, I was thinking about what an interesting time we're in. And I think there has been, and the pace of change, not just change, but the pace of change, as we know, is getting more rapid and more rapid and more rapid. Oh, I just got bigger. You can see my dog's little butt over there.
Yeah.
So there are so many, I would say, requests for our time and energy. Along with I'd love to just see all of us. It helps me. Actually,
Sure.
Rather than talking about you. I was like,
by the way, there's a point, is saying in the moment what you may want or need and expressing it lovingly. There's an example in process. It's easy. It's be in the moment, right?
Exactly. Because talking to myself is not nearly as inspiring to me as being with people, which I am all the time. And we're being asked for so much. And we're being sometimes assaulted, sometimes invited, sometimes challenged with our time and our energy. We have our families, we have our children, we have our careers, we have our communities and our spiritual centers, etc. And the noise of everything else, the world, politics, the media, I'm not even going to go into detail about that, is so commanding on us. And what I love about what you're inventing and am excited about is to give people an anchor for their spiritual self, their mind, their body, their well-being, their financial abundance, not as an end all to everything, but as a place like a touchstone in which to connect not only with community, but to learn and grow and find what's wanted and needed for them. So I'm really excited about that. And thank you again for having us. When you said a couple of decades, I'm thinking to myself, well, we're getting on close to 4 decades with me. I was like, okay. Somebody asked me the other day if I knew who Chris Everett is. And for those of you who don't, absolute famous tennis star from the 70s. And I just looked at her and I said, well, of course, I'm old. You know? So I got into this work much like you. Like I mean, you may have had even more purpose to it. I just ended up in one of these transformational trainings and was so profoundly touched that, my life transformed, my perspective of life shifted. Like literally, it went from black and white to color. And even though I have an MBA, I was at a financial investment firm, loved my job, loved my hometown, loved what I was up to. I couldn't not see what I'd seen. And I was called forth. I tell people I used to have a vision for my life. And then in that moment, my vision had me.
Mhm.
And so the natural course was to step into the work of transformation. I was 28 years old at the time, maybe 29 by the time I stepped in, and worked for a that was older, transformational company for many years, learned so much. And then when that kind of wasn't the next step for me, or it went away or whatever, I started a transformational training company with a friend of mine, Gabrielle Nasovich, and Lynn was involved in that as a foundational partner. And then it just kind of led me through wherever it is. And then she and I think from very early in our relationship, became soulmate as friends. And we ended up here. And even though like we have very different and diverse paths, this is sort of our core commitment. And the why for me, just to bring it home, I think when I was a young teenager, something had happened in the world, and I felt like I was destined to make a difference. Didn't know how, and it kind of evolved, and I stepped into it. And so I truly believe that each and every human being is magical and magnificent, and they deserve to experience that. And what gets in the way is the way we look at life. My book, I'm going to plug myself here. The problem is how you see the problem is like the problem is how we see it. Like it's the world, Chester, the world is the way we see it, live, live TV, as they say, or whatever. And when we shift that to a perspective that is inspiring, empowering, and one of ownership and kind of being the leader of your own life, life transforms and possibilities open up and things happen that are magical. And so we ended up, Lynn and I, in this, particularly working with women, and we call it a Badass Women's Leadership Summit Series and retreat, because I think every woman is a badass. And, I haven't birthed children. I have children, and I'm like, wow. And what it takes for women to hold the space they hold and who they are. And we'll talk some more about this, I think. Bottom line, I believe women are the way women look at the world collectively and collaboratively and through a nurturing lens of what's possible for everyone is the healing our planet needs. Like we get to step into this if my kids are to have a world to live in that's vibrant and extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the sort of bottom line why for me as well.
Oh, I love that. What's something that really stood out, and Lynn, I wanted to hear from you, and then we can merge these worlds as we, talk into you who's listening and how we now up level. But for you at that pivotal time, here you were doing with the outer appearance.
I did all the outer shit.
Fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
You were doing it according to the playbook. You were creating success as a badass woman back then, especially. Not to say, oh, you're old, but to use your thing about decades ago, right? But back then, that wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Women at such a successful level in the workplace and what you were doing in finance. And that's more of a man's world back then, especially. But
Mhm.
and
Sure.
then so you already had all the achievements, accomplishments, all that, and yet you then said the world went technicolor. You
Uh-huh.
realize there's so much more, and some of that might have been where your values were being placed or where you placed your worth or your meaning, and maybe that's some of what we can touch on. But the fact that you can be able to bring that to people, you are like Wizard of Oz. You're getting to whip them out of that black and white tornado into this beautiful paradise in technicolor. And it really can feel like that when you suddenly, as you say, your problem's on how you, it's not the problem, it's how you see the problem. And that is in everything. That's basically defining mindset, right? Which is,
Exactly.
we want to bring technicolor to you guys in this hour. So part of what you experience is what you get to bring people, is what we're saying. So that's awesome. All right, Miss Lynn, share with us some of your story, your why, and then let's dive in.
Woo! We have very different backgrounds. So I had an exciting childhood. I was with my mother for a bit. She got sick, and then I ended up being kidnapped by my dad and being raised on an Ojibwe Indian reservation in northern Wisconsin, which was one of the greatest gifts of my life. And I went through quite a bit of a period of my childhood. Is that your dog? That's your. I'm like, I thought it was my dog. It was so loud. Yeah. So I had an exciting childhood, and I questioned being on this earth. I really was questioning, what is the point of all this? I saw a lot of things pretty early in terms of the way people were treating each other, a lack of compassion, kindness. And so I had a near death experience when I was 19 years old that changed my life. Where at that point, I was the youngest in a Roman Catholic family, and I refused confirmation. And I went to all the other churches in town in fourth grade. And my parents were a little at their end of their wits end, thinking, what is this child? And so I had this near death experience, and I had an experience of God being there and being bathed in love and knowing I had a purpose. And that was a new concept for me, that I had a purpose and I was meant to be here. And so I could feel everything of the people that were working on my body. I could feel their love, their frustration with how could somebody so young try to destroy their life. And it was, an unconscious try on my part, but still, yeah, so I came back after that radically different. And so everything became, who am I and what is this purpose that I have? And my voice somehow matters on this earth. And so that was 19. And then when I was 28, I did the trainings and I did the work of transformation. And I remember thinking at the first training, first, I didn't want to go. I had the corner office. I was a creative director of a fundraising firm, and I still work at that firm in Washington, D.C., a political and charitable fundraising firm. And the only woman to hold the job, youngest person. So I was making great money. My parents were over the moon excited. I was dating the guy, the perfect guy. We were going to get engaged, and families loved each other, had a Victorian house in Annapolis, Maryland that we were refurbishing. Everything was perfect. Everything was on path for what I thought I was supposed to be living, doing, being. I was happy. So when my sister told me about doing the work of transformation, I was arrogant. I was self-righteous. I already know everything at 28 years old. I'm like, I already know all this. My life is on track, and you're not. And so it took me 2 years to finally get there through a business associate of my father's. And when I got to transformation, I remember thinking the first training, like, okay, I think I know a lot of this, but I knew it from a head place, not in heart place. And then the second training, I was turned around. And by the first weekend of leadership with Miss Lisa Kalmin, I had a revelation that all of my good work, all of my volunteering, all of it was gesturing. It was just me gesturing, even though I did a healthy amount of volunteering. I was up for the governor's award. I was working with teenage runaways, but I was gesturing. I was also getting away with 70 to 80% looking like 100%. So my number one thing I wrote on my enrollment card when I did enroll in transformation is I want to find out what 100% is. And
Oh.
be careful what you ask for, because boy did the universe deliver, and God was right there. So I decided to go all in, and I never looked back from that moment. It was oh my gosh, there's a whole world of people who get to wake up to who they are. They get to wake up that they have a voice and their voice matters. They get to be the difference for someone who is waiting for them right now as we're talking. There are people waiting for people to step forward. And they're not my people, and they're not your people, and they're not Lisa's people. There are more than enough people that we get to touch to wake up
Mm.
who they are. And that's not a head game, and it's not through an awareness. It's going to be experiential and embodied. So
Mm.
my purpose is that.
Oh, wow. Wow. And I love the combined backgrounds that you come from that both illustrate the power when you can then, in a way, unlayer and then have a whole other experience of yourself and life, and then what you get to create and be and enjoy. So you're not coming to the end of your life and realizing, wait a minute, what was that all for? Why was I doing all this? And it's never too late. Even if it is at the end of your life, you can shift right now and then have
Yeah.
an experience in the now. And actually, I love that about this work that you gals have. I mean, I've experienced in the context of this 4 month immersive that folks would do. And then there's work that you guys do, which we'll touch on, the Badass Women's Retreat, but the way that I would witness in others and then even just in myself what you get to
Mhm.
experience differently. And it's visceral, like you say, Lynn. It's from the heart, not from the head, and know that impact. And you know what? It's actually also what Why Now stands for. We know that as we when they say that expression, be the change you wish to see in the world, we've all heard a million times, but it's potent wisdom. And what that really means is how we can unlayer what we're able to see, what we're able to rise up into. That allows us to create a ripple effect of how that impacts the others immediately around us. And from there, that ripple effect into the world. And so you're getting to ignite not just in the people you touch, but the people they touch as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're gonna share more about this a little bit later and show you inside of WOWUNOW how to experience their work. It's all there at your fingertips for free to dive in later. And then as you might wish to explore really diving into the work, you can have that right there to also experiment and explore. Excuse me, I'm getting these little messages from my team here.
Oh,
Um, I'm trying to talk. So cool. So, well, let's dive inside. One of the things we were talking about is obviously you. I know, Lynn, you do work with couples that apparently is extraordinary. I've talked to some people who've been through it. I've seen you in action as you coach and how you coach. I can just imagine, oh my gosh, to be able to bring that into a relationship, right? Also, you do breath work. There's this, and how you integrate that as part of your transformation. Lisa, you do work around money and money mindset. You even have that on your channel on Why You Now. People can go
yeah.
right to that video. There's an audio series Lynn has. It's a whole transformation audio series in Why You Now. You can find on the app here. And then as we look at Badass Women's Summit, that you have cultivated your own experience of having unlayered and having those wake up moments, and now what you've been able to become and be and bring to other lives through these principles and through this power of this work. And so we're going to share 3 core pillars out of there. That was accomplishing from ease and grace, the power of when we support each other, especially as women, and confidently using our voice. So
Mhm.
can we dive inside those, and then we can also look at how we can take those principles and put them into action right now too.
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead, Lynn.
Right. I think, we talk about it. All three of those principles are alive for both of us, and we have different resonance. So creating and accomplishing with ease and grace. most women, thank God for the feminine movement and the revolution and the awakening of the feminine, and the women that laid the path before us. Even, thinking in my lifetime, women couldn't get a credit card in their own name. They needed a co-signer in the account. That is just mind-boggling to me. And so I'm so thankful for the women that were part of that. And it was a little, we asked and we got, but we got everything. So now I joke about the Charlie perfume ad, then the 1970s, where she comes home in the hot dress and she's bringing home the bacon and frying it up in the pan, and she's working, she's looking hot and sexy, she is cooking, she's cleaning, she's taking care of the kids. So we stepped into everything on us and needing to keep everything perfect and look perfect and be perfect and create. And we did it a lot from the masculine when we were in the workplace. And then we changed hats and we thought we needed to shut up and be sexy or whatever it is, or keep everybody happy. And so this is the place where I think I know we're still operating from. I see driving. These are the things, and you need to be in constant motion, and you need to build this, and you need to build your stream and your funnel to have these people there, and then you need to send them a million follow-ups. And it is like we're running faster than ever. We're in do mode. So all of this, I appreciate you speaking to the men that are here with us, and we've had men on podcasts with women, which is beautiful. All of us have feminine and masculine, and the masculine is more towards accomplishment, achievement, results, doing, effort, willpower, planning, strategy, analysis. That's all driving masculine. The feminine is breathing, receiving, spacious, availability, openness, earth, soul, allowing for magic. And so we can't think our way out of the masculine. We can know it, and we're still going to go into the driving accomplishment. And so what we practice and embody at the retreat is embodied feminine. So that we're not just we're noticing what are the stops to that. Where do I want to go back into the masculine? Where do I get afraid? Where do I'm afraid for security, afraid of rejection. So we practice being it. And then we have a beautiful process we do after the retreat, because we, as you know, Lynn, we are very much not interested in people feeling good over a weekend or having a peak experience, as Maslow would say. We are, how does this translate into results in your life? And so the 6-month process afterwards is the holding of the feminine and working with people on being it consistently. Well, results unfold, not from let's hit the ball in the hole, like let's just get the result, not from there, but from space and love and holding. And it's just magic. We've been humbled and awed, and are also in the practice with people as we're doing it, in witnessing what they're creating.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like holistic results, like you can get the results, but then they almost sometimes don't they feel empty, or you feel like you're burnt out or you're cracking the whip. When you can have holistic results, it's come from this whole place. It's a whole other experience of the journey, of the honoring of yourself in getting there, and then the power of the result that can get created, because creating from that place creates even more powerful results. So, I know, Lisa, I'm sure you have some juice to share as well, but maybe you can share a little bit example of, out of someone shifting from that, what you saw got created that gets to, you see both sides win, actually. It's,
Yeah. Lisa, yeah, I have things that are definitely.
No, go ahead.
I think, and there was someone younger who, she was in an awesome job, and decorating and design, and she was in what people would consider a dream job. Only she wasn't really fulfilled. She knew it was a step. She wanted to have her own company, and she just jumped. She just jumped. And she not only created that company supporting her jumping in her endeavor and creating a great partnership with them. She had 2 high-paying clients right out of the gate, with getting phenomenal accolades. That would be one example. She now has this beautiful design company she's always dreamed of having. We had somebody pay off their mortgage, go on trips with their husband, but more than that, they created genuine forgiveness and love of their husband, because that person had made their best friend their primary person. And when their primary person died, they were bereft. They were completely lost, and they shut out their husband for this whole time period of the dying afterwards. And she just went back in, heart completely open, and created forgiveness, him opening his heart, crying their eyes out, showing real vulnerability with each other. She got her marriage back after, God, I don't know, 5 years.
Now they travel around in their RV all over the place.
Totally. Yeah. Someone else, their sexuality, realizing their sexuality had been completely closed to them. So they got their sexuality first back for themselves, and really experiencing their sexuality, not for someone else, and then sharing it with their husband, but not, I gotta do it for my husband, doing it for herself first.
Yeah.
These are just a sample of some of the diversity of results.
Yes. Go ahead, Lisa.
And Lynn, you were talking about women accessing their authentic voice and utilizing it. And I think we have, as women, taken so much ground here, so much ground. And I think I think I'm going to generalize here, but I think women think, well, oh yeah, no problem, I can speak up. And I'm sure they do way more than they did when they were, 10 or 12 or 20. And there is a cultural ceiling on this. There's a squelching of our full expression. And we'll go to I've just seen it so many times. A woman will go to a certain place with her communication, or her, hey, this doesn't work, or whatever. So there's a limit to it. Or the other side of that is women get in reaction. I'm going to take my power back, and I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to throw up boundaries. And what they are walls that disconnect us. Not to say boundaries aren't important. They're incredibly important. Yeah. And in authentic boundary will always serve both parties.
Yes.
Always. So our opportunity to fully express what we see, what we feel, and what we intuit, what we know in our heart, even if we don't have empirical evidence, because the world has been so masculine in its throw, like, give me the evidence, give me the evidence, give me the evidence. Like, we are afraid to go, well, I feel like X, because, and if there's no evidence, then we go, well, maybe I need to get the evidence, or maybe I, so just to say, and Lynn can follow up with hers. One of the things that people can do right now, women can do right now, and men, some of you, this is for whatever reason, your voice got squelched, your natural expression got squelched. So same coaching. Notice when you're with someone, you're speaking, and there's a thought in your head, or something goes through your mind, and then you don't say it. Now, it may go through your mind in a way that feels critical or judgy or unkind. I'm not saying don't say it like that. And there may be something to say. But how many times have we been there and we say, da 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 da, and did you say everything? Yeah. And then we have this justification. Well, I didn't say that, but it wasn't necessary, or they didn't need it, or it wasn't, it was my stuff. the more aware we are, the worse edits we make on ourselves. They get more and more because we self-correct all the time. So notice that. So if you're in a communication today and there's something that comes through that you don't say, even if you say something like this, stop a second. Something just came to my mind. Let me get clear what it is to say in a way that forwards us. Like it's okay to take a moment. It's okay to say, I want to make this whole, or forward us. And then I think there are women everywhere that have a conversation they're not having. There's a conversation they're not having, and it may be with their husband, and it may be with their
dog.
Their dog. There's something there. There's some stuff going on, and intuitively we know he's a little off, and so we get to take care of him. It's your teenage son or daughter, or your young adult son or daughter, or not so young. But it could be with your boss, could be with your best friend. How many times have we not said what's true for us because we've made up something? And let me say to everybody who says to themselves, I didn't want to hurt their feelings. Excuse not to be brave and courageous. Number two, you're not in charge of their feelings.
Yep.
You're not in charge of their feelings. Now, don't be and you can't manage other people's experience. Take it from one who's has children. Try.
By the way, Lisa, that needs to be said again because those 2 points are really, really important. So can you say those two again?
I don't remember. You can't manage other people's.
One's an excuse to not have.
If you say yes, if you say I don't want to hurt their feelings, it's not about being unkind. It's that becomes your justification and excuse not to be courageous and brave in the moment, not to take the risk.
That's huge. And a lot of people, we don't realize the subconscious ways we can justify or talk to ourselves.
And we're so good.
Hold us back or keeps us safe. And that's one to call out as you see it and realize that comes up. You're like, oh, is that an excuse for me not to be brave?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we also potentially don't want to be brave because we equate when we are going to speak up to be what you described as then people feel that means they have to have these walls up and be rigid and be harsh and being able to even speak up. So then that all the more they have the association to I'm just not going to speak up. Yeah. And so I think that's real important that this is a distinction. This is about honoring what is needing to be expressed, but you can express it in a way that includes the other person, that can allow it being heard, that can be compassionate. Like you did it was a minor passing by moment, but you're saying, can we see everybody? Because I can operate better that way. It wasn't like, can you just, it was just about expressing what you needed, So anyway, I just wanted to point it out because it's an important distinction.
And I think people don't realize, and women particularly don't realize that in the willingness to be courageous in that moment and say it from a place of what's really true for them, it's a vulnerable moment. And because it's vulnerable, and probably most of us as human beings feel vulnerable all the time anyway, they hesitate. So that's where, they don't want to be bitchy. I'll just use the stereotype. I don't want to be that kind of woman. And we won't be, and then there's this hesitancy to actually, okay, well, I don't want to be that. And I'd have to be risking and vulnerable to be this way, open or vulnerable, say what I need or say, hey, this doesn't work for me. And then the second thing I said is, you're not in charge of other people's feelings. We cannot manage other people's experiences. And I said, even in a training room, I'm stellar at this. With my I have 13-year-old twin boys. I'm struggle with this all the time. I'm constantly wanting to manage their experience and have it be better, have it not be this way, have it, So having those conversations, getting clear what's the outcome you're looking for, that's a win-win, always a win-win. How can it serve me? How can it serve them? How can it forward me? How can it forward them? Even if it's a tough one, like we need to break up or we need to divorce or we need to whatever, those are the most heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
And and sometimes they have to happen. It's not the first conversation for sure. Never.
No.
That this book is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think the Badass Women's Leadership Retreat, as we were talking about, gives women this freedom to express their authentic voice in a magnificent, beautiful, inspiring way.
Mm.
The last thing I'll say is the collective and the tribe, being in a community that is uplifting and supportive to us, is so incredibly healing and nurturing.
Mm.
Lynn and I were just in a weekend together, similar to that. It was men and women. It was beautifully held. We held each other beautifully.
Yeah.
And there's even that is worth the price of admission.
Totally.
Let me just say, that's like feels so like an oasis in the desert in our world right now. And women deserve that. And we do it sometimes as sisters or friends or whatever in a spa day. But this is like, how do we do it in a way that raises consciousness, literally raising consciousness?
Mm-hmm. It just adding in, it's on that especially. It isn't, sometimes there's fluff. Women give each other fluff. Oh, you look so beautiful. Da, 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 da. It's like fluffiness, which is nice, but it's not substance. And so this is more substantial. Like I'm sure a lot of people have read Anita Diamond, The Red Tent, where women used to honor each other and revere each other and care for each other and nourish each other and make sure, also love each other enough to make sure that people don't run into brick walls repeatedly, and to not swallow our wants and our desires, because I know women swallow their wants and desires. I regularly get phone calls of people who are married and I want to go to the retreat. I want to go to your couples retreat. And my husband, I'm afraid. I'm just so afraid of where he'll go with this and that he won't be open. Well, have you brought it up? No. Well, why not? Well, I think he'll be upset. Well, how long have you felt this way? Well, kind of like, this is what I hear. His job was to make the money and it was going great for a while. And now he's run into a little bit of a struggle and he's no longer making money and we can't talk to each other. But I'm going to need to talk to him to get him to the retreat. But I don't want to express my desires and what it is I really want in this marriage.
Sure.
This is crazy making.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to add very quickly is in using voice, just as an example of a result.
Yes.
And what happened. There was a woman who, only child, completely dedicated to her mom. Her mom was sick, had moved in with them. And this accomplished woman, doctor, was like a little girl around her mom and not at all expressing her needs, not doing anything for herself, not going away with her husband. And through the process, spoke up and said, Mom, here's what I need, and figured out how mom could be taken care of, and actually got her power back from being that little girl needing to not, being fearful of expressing herself with her mom.
Yeah. And I'm just going to play tennis one more time on this, that the other aspect that we haven't touched on, we kind of talked around it. The more work we do, the more our ego grows.
Oh, yeah.
So we get more clever at conning ourselves, at justifying, at not seeing our stuff. All of us. And I will tell you about Miss Lisa Kalmin and me. We're always in containers of growing ourselves because we're aware that there's a great book, that basically speaks about the bigger the light, the greater the shadow. So we got to keep an eye on all our justifications, all our stories, all our con jobs with ourselves, all the ways we can't see ourselves, and have women around us who love us enough to hold up a mirror and say, right there, you did it. Right there, you did your pattern that you are not seeing that you do. Yeah. So that you don't keep running into the brick wall.
Yeah.
Right. And the way you just said that, is important, because you said that not in a way that had shame or in wronging. It
No.
was that feeling, as you say, being held. You said that with this, we're in this together. We see
Mhm.
this, we're reflecting back,
Mhm.
and just like we are, I want to know and have things communicated clearly, lovingly, compassionately, so that
Yes.
I can make whatever shifts or changes and
Yeah.
adjust and adapt. And
Yeah.
I too am, and in the growth mindset. Obviously, this is why we're doing the platform that we're launching. Is like I'm hungry for growth mindset, and and what that provides us in our life, and it is an ongoing process. And also, what I love about what you talked about with your badass women's retreat. First of all, these 3 points might seem that's nice, but then as you dive inside, you realize how core they really are.
Yeah.
Accomplishing from ease and grace, not this cracking the whip old way, or where we cut off parts of ourselves in order to make something happen, or we don't honor ourselves, and
Mhm.
we become compressed and burnt out, and carrying resistance and fear that just infects
Yeah.
all that we're doing, versus this holistic, heart-led way. We're getting to enjoy the journey. We create even more powerful results. All of us gets to come along for the ride in the party, and we don't get burned out in the process, or at least, we the least burnout we would be if we were the other way around. And then there's the confidently using your voice. And that is so important. Both sides of what you said. One is that we can be able to speak up in a loving way and say what we need and share and honor ourselves, feel heard, and find the tools and facility on how to express it in a way that can break out of the old patterns of where it's just been about holding it down and the fears of what it may mean. But there's another way to come at it. The other side of it is too, of which, I have someone very close to me in my life, in my family, and she's an amazing, amazing woman. And also all that she's accomplished too, and but in her heart and everything. And she had to learn to have mega boundaries and say certain things. So her way of being able to express can come across harsh. It can
Mhm.
come across tough, and it can come across like walls all the time. Although I appreciate there needing to be those boundaries or being able to express, but it's also in how it is done,
Yeah.
and then how you feel as you are doing it. So I think those are very key, important distinctions that hopefully, as y'all are listening, hearing, you're grabbing that. And then that power of the community to have that support, and that you guys have that beyond just the weekend and the support you're having in the weekend, the context that gets set, the vortex you get to live into in that time that you're together, but that you have that ongoingly afterwards in a community of support. So it truly gets instilled now as a new way of being and a new habit of being in life is powerful. That's amazing. And I just also clarify, in your badass women's retreat, I believe you have a limited number. You keep it very intimate. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like how many?
Under under 30, yes. Yeah.
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 So you truly are getting a lot of that. You can't hide there.
Intimate time.
What is that?
Intimate time.
Intimate time. Yes.
Yeah.
Together,
Yeah.
together, like we're
Yeah.
with Len and I individually as well as
Yeah.
they together.
Oh, that's awesome. So, we want to give you guys the link to go explore. If this feels right for you, you get to have this container to be held, to be able to live and create this new habit. Then I want to also just talk about in using Why You Now as an ongoing habit, like what you just shared. Okay. But let's get that link. And is that the link that you had given me, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see if I can put this into, I'm going to try to put this into what do you call it? The thing that's underneath me.
Comment?
The thing that's underneath me. There we go. The edit display name. Okay.
Oh, great.
So there we go.
No.
So this is a bit of a long way of the name. That's okay. That's going to be changed to where it can be an easy way. But right now, you can find it this way, or you go to Wow You Now. You can click on whether it's on either one of these ladies' own channel or in Inspire Coaching's channel where it says Badass Women's Summit. It'll take you there. We'll also get a post about Badass Women's Summit up in one of our feeds, so you can make sure you can find that out. But you see right here, inspirecoaching.regfox.com. and then it says / and balls, BAWLS.
Badass Women's Leadership.
Right, which stands for you want balls, Badass Women's Leadership Summit. Dash
Over.
2023. Okay. But you'll be able to find it on WOWUNOW, but make sure you can be able to check this out so that you can be able to join with that. Let me see. I'm going to go back to, hopefully you guys got that. Don't worry. You can also message one way or another. We'll make sure that you are getting what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And speaking of being able to use WOWUNOW as that tool to support you for exploring Badass Women's Summit, to explore experiencing even more of Lisa and Lynn's work, to explore having that habit ingrained about you as a badass woman leader or badass man leader, whatever that is. So first of all, I can't plug in my phone like we're on Zoom, but I will show you on the app. It's also on desktop, but for right now, I'll just do it this way. And this is just showing you again that you can see by areas of interest, mind, body, spirit. You can go deep into just that area, or you can kind of browse in a Netflix Reels kind of way. And in fact, I think we have our gals here. Like there's one of Lynn right there that could take you to one of her audios. Okay. And then when you want to go explore channels, do this little drop down in the upper left. And then that can take you to the channels. We're going to go to Inspire Coaching. This is the channel of Lynn and Lisa right there. Okay. Ta-da, there they go. And then you can see right there, Badass Women's Leadership Summit. You click on that, and that'll take you to their page. There you can see, and it's happening these dates right there, as you can see.
Yes, coming up, October 13th to 15th. And we're still in our little window of early bird, early badass. So for a little bit of time, early badass is a much discounted price. So.
And it's at Temecula Creek Inn, which is a beautiful little boutique property that is lovely, lovely, lovely. Talking 4 to 5 star food, amazing.
Gosh. And hopefully y'all can experience already just the rich wisdom from depth of experience of having lived in their own lives, but also in working with others, just in how they speak into these distinctions. This isn't something pulled out of some personal health growth book and now reflecting back out there. It's not AI. This is the real deal, but when you see them in coaching, of which I've been able to experience and even been a recipient of, brilliant. So to be in that vortex with these two women is priceless. And to keep you in that vortex ongoingly, whether you check out Badass Women's Leadership Summit, which you're doing right now, right? You're going to WOWUNOW, going to Badass Leadership Women's Summit, or just making this an ongoing habit. We want this to be actionable. So we said these 3 key core pillars, which are accomplishing from ease and grace, confidently using your voice, and the power of being in a supportive community. Well, they have crafted and cultivated that with this summit. And if you want to instill this as a daily habit and practice, use WOWUNOW as your daily habit. WOWUNOW is wow your day your way. You can do your other socials, do your other things, but come here to have that anchor point. Come here and do something for yourself. We have a 1, 2, 3 approach. 1, something for yourself. We know we need to honor ourselves. What speaks to us? How might we grow? What might we learn? What might you be inspired by today? And then you contribute something to the world around you and then to the world at large. So number 1, you go in here and you go, well, let me go check out. Let's see. I'll go to the audios. And as I'm in audio section, oh, I see one with Lynn, A Transformed Life. I'll listen to one of Lynn's audios, right? So that might be something you do for that day for yourself. Or it could be you go to, let's go to Lisa's channel. Lisa has her own channel, as does Lynn. And on Lisa's channel, as you scroll through, you're going to see, where is it? Right here. This 3 ways to grow the flow of money. This is coming from someone who came from the investment world and now the transformation world, and she's able to bring those 2 together. So you can go, maybe that's something you want to see. Or as you're looking around, you just see what speaks to you that you want to just click around and check out. Okay. That's something for yourself. Number 2, is going in the community feed down here. You click on community, and this is where you post just like in a Facebook feed. So now you post something inspiring, informative, contributive, all right? And every action receives points. So you get points for showing up, for liking, commenting, engaging with content, for sharing out, or for receiving likes or comments. So as you contribute and as you receive points too, all the points as you add up with every action, you can go into a rewards catalog and exchange them for valuable programs. There's other things the rewards will give you. So we truly are gamifying this process. Woohoo! To honor positive action. They're like celebrating. Yes, we are. All right. And then that's 2. Now, number 3 is sharing out to the world. So let's say we go to this community feed and we're like, oh, I love this live. This was a great interview with Lisa and Lynn. Now you go to that little share button right there and you share out to the world. Now you can just copy the link. All right. And it's going to be, if you are in WOWUNOW, that means you're signed in. And now as you go paste it in, you're going to see at the very end, your own referral link is embedded in there. Share it out to the world. Let them know, come listen to this interview or come into this awesome platform where we're here to better our own lives, each other's lives, and better the world. And this is the engine to do it. And as you spread this interview, even, you're getting to spread this great work that we're hearing about Lisa and Lynn. And you get to benefit because whoever comes in through that share will be tagged to you, and you'll ongoingly share in the abundance of what gets generated through the people that you've brought in through your sharing. So we look at that as a community of support, a community of positive action driven. All right. And so that is our habit, how we instill an ongoing community that serves that purpose, an ongoing habit to instill every day. Here's your anchor point. So you could kick off every day with Lisa and Lynn, every day contributing, every day in a community that's contributing back. And you can check out right now the Badass Women's Leadership Summit, as we showed you on here, where to go find that on their Inspire Coaching channel and be able to explore being part of that. So those are some actions. I don't know if you have any other actions you want to give them, Lynn or Lisa, they can instill right now to take the inspiration of this conversation and really make it a habit and a practice in life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was thinking earlier, first noticing how often we're in the masculine, noticing how often we're in driving, making something happen, our heart is racing. Just beginning to notice will shift it in and of itself. And if we can pull it back down, pull it back inward, center ourselves, get back in heart-centered, not as an idea, but that we're not in driving, forcing, grinding, making it happen. And then noticing our thoughts and feelings with what we're creating, because we go about it from a very masculine perspective, driving instead of how do we genuinely feel, see the women that we're at the summit with, experience what we're creating with the feminine, and be in that experience, not as a concept, in heart, in feeling, in emotion. The combination of us as an electromagnetic human being, our electric being our mental, and our magnetic being emotional. We don't spend enough time in emotions resonating with what it is that we want. So being in emotional resonance with what it is that we are creating, not a headspace, and then practicing gratitude. We can't say enough about this, and it's not just writing a gratitude list. It is genuinely feeling, experiencing gratitude consistently. Gratitude vibrates at a higher frequency than anything else. And so us experiencing, vibrating from gratitude for simple things, simple moments, is the feminine. It is receiving. And it is a shift that will occur immediately in what we're creating.
Powerful. Anything you want to say about that, Lisa?
No, I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity and love again your vision and your persistence. It's taken tons of work, and I know there's much more work to do. And I'm just looking forward to enjoying and bringing people into the platform to experience just positivity and uplifting uh, and growth and really great. And for the badass women out there, we're, you're being called forth, not by Lynn and I, but by your own vision and the world. And our
Mm,
future generations are calling your name.
mm,
And
that's right.
Lynn, most people cannot fathom what it has taken to get to this point, and the many components and the many paths and how many walls were put up and how much resources it takes to get all the different working opportunities that you have, and your resiliency and your determination, and you're not getting off of your vision. And now it's finally coming into existence. And so incredibly grateful to be the first guest to launch this with you and see it come alive.
Oh, thank you. Me too. And that we can be a vehicle for proliferating your work out there and
Great.
impacting more lives.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you. Thank
thank
you.
you.
So let me just ask, if you have one thing you wish for the world, you could wave that magic wand, and you kind of have said it just within your work. What would that be?
Mine is always the same oneness, that we're not separate from each other. And that if we had oneness, there would be no war, there would be no poverty, there would be no want, there would be no judgment, no divisiveness. We
Mm,
are all God beings, and we're all the spark of God. And so oneness.
mm, love that.
Yeah. And for me, that each person knowing, experiencing not only their own magnificence, but how much they matter. That there is no human being on the planet that can substitute the unique and gifted contribution that they can make. No one can substitute them, and to not only own it, but to like be filled up by it. Because I experience when we're filled up by that, then the way we see everybody is the same way.
Mm. So beautiful. And that is what we stand for on Wow You Now. No wonder we're so aligned. Absolutely. We need you. We need you to have that better life, that joy, that expansive mindset, and that contribution. Because together, that's how we bring about our oneness. That's how we bring about more joy and more aliveness on the planet. I always love closing things with this statement, and I sometimes often am saying it to myself. So I share it with you guys here. It's never too late to become who you might have been. That's by George Eliot, but it's an expression of doesn't matter how long you've been working at something or your age or what, or maybe you think you're past. It's never too late to be able to now step into what's possible for you and you to become what's calling to you. We got this. Get your wow on, get your badassery on. And check out Lisa and Lynn and Wow You Now and Badass Women Summit. And I want to thank you so much, Lynn and Lisa, for just who you are for the world, who you are in my life, what you're bringing to women's lives and women and men's lives everywhere. And so thank you again. And we'll see you guys next time on Wow Makers Unplugged.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.